Hello everybody, and today we are going to talk about Saturn. Saturn was discovered in 1610 by Galileo Galilei. He noticed that Saturn wasn't as spherical as the other planets. He didn't know it, but he was actually looking at Saturn's rings. It wasn't until Giovanni Cassini came around with a more powerful telescope that the rings of Saturn got discovered, plus a gap in the ring that we now call the Cassini division. But now, let's look at the first spacecraft to actually see Saturn up close, and I am of course talking about Pioneer 11. It flew by Saturn in September 1979. Pioneer 11 delivered very useful data to NASA scientists, and even the first close-up image of Saturn. It even took some images of Saturn's biggest moon, Titan. But it wasn't until Voyager 1 and 2 that we got the first high-resolution image of Saturn and its rings. The Voyagers even managed to capture some stunning views of the Saturnian moons. When the probes was around the closest approach of Saturn, it took this image of the ring system. But after both of the Saturn flybys, then there was nothing to study Saturn. But that all changed when the Cassini Huygens Spacecraft arrived at Saturn in 2004. Just in case if you don't know, the Cassini Huygens Spacecraft was an orbiter that studied Saturn to the year 2017. Before it crashed into Saturn because it was low on fuel, and NASA scientists didn't want it to crash into its moons. But it took some amazing images of Saturn and the Saturnian system, and made some incredible discoveries about Saturn and its moons. But now let's talk about Saturn itself. Saturn is composed of mainly hydrogen and helium, with a little bit ammonia crystals in its hemisphere. And that's what gives its brown-yellowish tint. Saturn has an average radius of around 60,000 kilometers. And the reason I say average is because Saturn's radius at the equator is 10% greater than on the poles. The other planets are also like this, but not as much as Saturn. Saturn has 83 moons, 63 of them are confirmed and named, and 20 of them is waiting for confirmation. But now let's talk about Titan, Saturn's biggest moon. Titan is the only moon in the solar system, with a thick atmosphere and the only celestial body with stable bodies of liquids except Earth. There has actually been a probe that landed on Titan named Huygens, and it took some stunning images of Titan's surface. Just look at this time-lapse of its descent. And here you have the only image taken on Titan's surface. It isn't the best resolution ever, but it is still an astonishing achievement that humanity has landed a probe so far away from home. Now we are going to talk about the bodies of liquid on the surface. They are a bit like oceans on Earth, just made of liquid methane and ethane instead of liquid water. For example, here is Ligeia Mare, one of the methane lakes on Titan. And you can see rivers, deltas, eroded shorelines, and even islands. Is it use me, or is this reminding me of our home planet? But anyways, let's move on to the next interesting Saturnian moon, Enceladus. Enceladus is very spherical for its mass and size, with a diameter of around 500 kilometers. The most interesting thing about Enceladus is that it has some massive geysers at the south poles that eject warm water directly from a subsurface ocean. And the reason it is so spherical is because some of the water from the plumes fall down on Enceladus and smoothens the surface out. And that's also why the southern hemisphere of Enceladus lacked the presence of impact craters. Cassini flew over these plumes several times and collected some valuable data and even detected amino acids. Just if you didn't like chemistry or biology, amino acids are one of the critical building blocks of creating life. So then, we have a question. Could life exist on this tiny moon? We don't know it for sure, but from our understanding of how life works, it certainly can. And then the last moon I am going to talk about in this video, Iapetus. Not as interesting as the two other moons we have discussed, but I wanted to include it anyways. The interesting thing about Iapetus is that it has one white side, and the other side is nearly graphite black. And on the dark side of Iapetus is a montane range stretching, nearly halfway around the moon. Iapetus is the farthest spherical moon orbiting Saturn. So if you were to stand on Iapetus' surface and look up in the sky, then Saturn wouldn't be that big. And finally, my favorite image of Saturn. If you are confused on what you are looking at, then this is Saturn backlit by the sun, and then you can see the F ring and the E ring which you can't see else. Some of the moons are also in this picture, including Enceladus, Dione, Prometheus, and Rio. Even Mars, Venus, and the Earth are also in this picture, which means that you and I are also in this image. Okay, I can stop talking a bit so you can enjoy this image yourself. But this video is already becoming very long, so I think I'm going to stop here. So now I just want to say thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe and consider sharing this video to your friends. And have a nice day.